Awesome. Technology is working for us. So, for those of you watching, welcome to the safe space where we learn how to train, feed, and heal our dogs better. And today, I'm very excited because, as you know, if you followed me for any length of time, I am so picky. I'm such a picky dog mom, if you will, when it comes to the products that I give my pets. And I have a co-founder here today of Native Pet, some of their products with me, and who's Dan, and we are going I'm gonna
Hey,
ask
everybody.
yeah, and I'm gonna ask him some, uh, important questions. I'm gonna grill him a little bit on the brand, and this is, full transparency, like, have been a biggest advocate of this brand for a very long time now, so, um, pro or sneak alert, I'm obviously a fan. So, we're just gonna jump into it. I really want to give you, as my viewers and community, the opportunity to hear directly from founders and co-founders, formulators, behind these brands so that you can really get to know the people, because as much as we love the products, the people and the intentions behind the brand are what matter top three for me. So, Dan, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be live with you here today. Somebody on my team just messaged me and they were like, "It's not obvious what brand you work for." So
Yeah.
I guess we could have gone bolder with more native pet signage.
Yeah. So, Native Pet, which I guess let's just start with that for those watching that may not be as familiar with their brand, though I find that hard to believe because I talk about you all the time. But let's talk a little bit about who you are as co founder of Native Pet and a little bit of the Native Pet backstory.
Awesome. Yeah. So native pet is a clean label supplement business, and we like to say um, we are around the bowl nutrition. And so we sell products that are going to help you customize and tailor your pet's diet to meet their own unique nutritional needs. And we've been running Native Pet since 2017. My co-founder is a guy named Pat Barron. We grew up together. We've been best friends since we were kids, and we started this business in 2017. But the journey really started in 2014 with my dog Louie, who, if you followed along with the brand, he's been like subtly featured in some of our advertising. He's a 9-year-old lab mix that we rescued in 2014. He is unknowingly started this whole journey. And so when we adopted him, he came to us with fleas and he had a stomach worm. He had all sorts of stuff. And we got immediately into the world of specialty nutrition. And through that journey, my wife and I were constantly saying, man, like functional foods are everything in pet. There should be more supplements in the pet category. Like there's all these supplement brands in human. Like, why aren't there more supplement brands in pet? And we just kind of got obsessed and went and did some other things for a while. At one point, just felt like this was an amazing opportunity to make a difference in the lives of pets and to kind of follow my lifelong dream of being an entrepreneur. And I called Pat, and within like 6 weeks, we were up and running. And that's kind of how Native Pet got started. It's been a wild ride, and now we're selling 10 plus products. We're launching a whole bunch of new products today. We have national distribution, and it's been a crazy ride, but it kind of has stayed true to that core mission of helping pets live healthier, happier lives.
Yeah, I love that. And to kind of summarize the product categories, I guess you have, or the product assortment, you have anything from just like daily supplement chews to omega oils, which is kind of like a fish healthy fat oil. You have chews, which we'll talk about, some of my favorites, some pumpkin powder. So they really have solutions and products for most pets out there, most dogs out there. And that's one thing I really like about you. It's diverse. There's a lot of options. And you've fairly recently, of the last several months or so, launched into Target, which is kind of exciting.
Yeah, we've been in Target for a little over a year,
Oh, it's a
and
year
we
now.
we
Wow.
we just expanded into we're in 600 stores, so we're essentially nationwide, not full chain yet, but the products at Target have been super well received, and they sell other supplements in there today, but we're just highly differentiated versus the other products that they sell on the in the set, like whether that's format or packaging or efficacy. I think we just have offered something different, and despite being a relatively small brand, we've had a great partnership with Target, and we're excited to continue to go into more retail opportunities.
That's awesome. And one reason I like that is your brand is pretty accessible, meaning somebody could order it online. You even have some placements on Amazon, Target. So it's really wherever is most convenient for the pet parent, they can access your products. So when you were developing, let's say, some of your first products, like what were some of the problems you identified that you wanted to solve for pets or pet parents?
Yeah, I think so. There's like all of our products have kind of a specific use and they're based on a specific set of problems. But I think the problem in the we saw in the category was, my wife and I both like eat very naturally. We really care about what we eat, and obviously, we're probably even crazier about that with our dog Louie, and then now with our kids. And so we felt like there was a real gap in kind of this like supplemental nutritional space where everything felt so kind of like nutraceutical or pharmaceutical grade,
Hmm.
and it just didn't feel like food. And we're huge believers that food is medicine. You need efficacious ingredients that have been researched, but like it just didn't feel like food. And we felt like using natural whole food ingredients wherever we could was a really important piece to help bridge the gap for pet parents of like, this isn't some scary nutraceutical supplement. This is a very accessible food based supplement that's just as efficacious, that can just bridge the gap between what's a supplement and what's food. And that's like the overall problem we set out to solve with our products. And a great example is this pumpkin powder. Um, there was like all these like digestive supplements at the time. And then the other alternative was like the vet would say, like, go buy a can of pumpkin.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, so and this was one of our very first products. And, of course, so being more natural, we aired on the side of a can of pumpkin, but it was terrible because you'd always have these cans of pumpkin like half used in your refrigerator that would start to
Yeah.
grow mold. And so we said, man, wouldn't it be great to have a shelf stable supplement that was pumpkin? And so we set out to make our pumpkin supplement. We let nature do its thing with this one. And it's like pumpkin is a superfood for your dogs. It does the soluble fiber content in pumpkin does amazing things for their digestive tract. And all we did to this product was tweak the percentage of pumpkin flesh versus pumpkin seed. Pumpkin seed is super high in insoluble fiber, which helps bulk things up and keep things healthy. And so we just tweaked how much pumpkin flesh, how much pumpkin seed, and launched it in a powder format that would be shelf stable, but that you can mix with water and it becomes a puree. So that's a great example that I love to talk about. Super simple solution, extremely clean label ingredients mixed with a little bit of science to make sure it works. And it's been one of our best selling products since we launched it in 2019.
Yes, I think this was the first product I believe it was this or the Yak Chews, which we'll talk about. But I think that I not think, I've made multiple pieces of content about this specific product. In the old branding, your new branding, by the way, is just chef's kiss. But I
Thank you.
cannot, you're welcome. I cannot recommend something like this enough for dogs that are, and by the way, like this isn't a sponsored video. I'm this much of a fangirl of the brand, but for dogs, like as just a daily fiber supplement, or obviously if dogs are having ailments, obviously in this video, we're not claiming to cure, treat, prescribe, etc. But what I love about this and why I became so excited about their pumpkin powder was because for the ingredients, not only are they all organic, which good luck finding something that's shelf stable and organic, but there's only three ingredients. And watching me for those watching for any length of time, that I'm a bit of a snob when it comes to ingredients. And it's not because I'm better than, it's just because that matters to me. And so it's literally just organic pumpkin seed, and organic apple. And I love the fact that you added the apple and the seed, which again, you don't see a lot. Also for the extra pectin, which is really healing on the GI system and the gut. So this is an excellent thing, which interestingly, I've learned this through trial and error with my dogs. Pumpkin can help with loose stool, but pumpkin can also help with constipation. Just FYI, like some dogs react differently to it, which makes it such a versatile tool based on what they're going through. Just FYI on that.
It's really like one of those things when you like think about like natural efficacious supplements. Pumpkin is such an amazing ingredient because it kind of knows what's ailing you and is able
Yeah.
to help. And it's just
Yeah.
the versatility of like, hey, I'm constipated, my dog's constipated, or my dog has diarrhea, and then you can feed them the same product, and your body is able to use that for whatever's ailing it. Is what that's like the power of using natural ingredients, is because your body is comfortable processing them and is familiar with processing them, and your body is smart enough to point those, like, the nutrients to the right place to solve the problem. So it's super simple, but like, we think it's a great kind of hero product, and it's really representative of the ethos of how we try to develop products.
Yeah. I actually have a comment here from Chimichanga who says, I actually tried native powder for food that you recommended, and the results blew me away. I was very impressed with how well my dog transitioned to new food with this. So, this is also a great thing. Like, if you're transitioning to a new food, or if you have a dog like one of mine, when they get nervous, like going to the vet or they get car sick in the car, and you want to help settle their stomach, I use something like this just ahead of time. It's easy to make treats with, and just an excellent tool in the toolkit.
Yeah, let me share like a fun hack, a customer sent in to us. So you can serve this in a variety of ways. So depending on how picky your dog is and what you're trying to accomplish, a lot of people will mix it with water, turn it back into a puree, and that's a great way to serve it. Some people just keep it in a powder format, and some dogs still like it in its powder format. So one of our loyal customers shared that when they get a bag of kibble, they just cut the corner off the kibble, and then they open up the pumpkin jar, and then just take a new can of pumpkin, new bag of kibble, dump the full powder can into the kibble, and then just shake up the kibble bag. And essentially what they're getting is pumpkin coated kibble, kind of a
I love it.
DIY hack. And they started doing that, and they shared a video with us, and I loved that hack because it's extremely resourceful, and it gets your pumpkin like a little daily hit of pumpkin, which is pretty cool.
I love that. And I love the fact that you mentioned to keep the kibble in the original bag. That's something I talk about a lot on my channel. And that is an excellent way, for those watching, to add more fresh or real foods to the bowl, which is something we advocate for regularly. I talk about this a lot, but Purdue did a study where if you replace 15 to 20% of the bowl with real, fresh, whole food options, which pumpkin can be great on that, it can reduce chances of getting bladder cancer by up to 90%. So real whole food, as you said, Dan, is really powerful, and science shows it. I am getting questions, which I know the answer, but I'll let you answer, if your brand is available in Canada.
So I would say we love our Canadians, and we're working hard to be able to get product to Canada. Today, that's not currently an option, but I'm hoping in the not so distant future that we will be able to sell in Canada. We got to work out exactly how we do that still, but um,
Yeah.
we have a number of loyal supporters from Canada, and we want to be able to sell product in Canada very soon.
Awesome. And Susie asked about the car sickness. I was just saying that for one of my dogs, sometimes when she gets nervous and we go in the car, I'll give her some of this ahead of time to help soothe her stomach, and it really helps. So it's the pumpkin powder. And for those watching, I'll have all the native pet links, and there is a code that you can apply in my description or link in bio, depending on where you're watching this. And then I just want to give a shout out to Kay's Beautiful Struggle. Really love native pet. She said just got the probiotic, the pumpkin, the calming treats, which I have their calming treats right here for my Labrador, my anxious lab. So, anyways, I feel like this is an infomercial, but I can't help
Let,
myself
let me
when,
add, let me
yeah,
let me add on the car ride.
yeah,
I have an extremely nervous car rider. Like,
okay,
he spent a lot of time in the car, and we do pumpkin before he gets in the car for obvious reasons. It really just helps keep things settled. And then we do the calm chews. They have melatonin in them, so they have some, like, you know um, they help your dog relax and sleep a bit. And so the best thing for my dog is to fall asleep in the car and to, like, just kind of chill out. And so we do the calm chews, and the pumpkin is our car ride malady. And we drive from St. Louis to Michigan at least once a year. That's a 12-hour drive, and poor
mm,
Lou is stuck in the back seat with three crabby kids, so he needs some help along the way.
yeah.
I'm gonna switch
And
headphones here.
somebody,
My headphones are going out, so just bear with me.
okay, take your time. While he's doing that, I'll say that the other reason I love their calm chews and supplements like these of theirs is when you look at the ingredients, which I don't know if you'll be able to, if it'll reflect well on camera. Probably not, no. But again, it'll be linked below. You guys can check it out. But it's such limited ingredients, and that's extremely important to me. It's not filled with corns and byproducts and meals and natural flavorings. You know how I feel about that. You have hemp seed powder, just kind of going through it, casein, L-theanine, melatonin. This is for the calm. Then for the inactive ingredients, you have bone broth gelatin, you have chicken, coconut glycerin, and then natural preservatives, which are the mixed tocopherols. So anyway, something like this I use in my Labrador. I wouldn't say daily, but definitely as needed. Does really well with it. And I just bought, okay, somebody's asking about yak cheese. We'll get there. So somebody just mentioned that your products are made in St. Louis. Is that correct? Or St. Louis? I never know how to say it. Oh, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You might have to change your mic input. I love technology. It's always fun. How are you guys doing today? I just got back from a doctor checkup. I'm all good, but just kind of like my go checkup, and I'm healthy, which is good. And for those of you wondering, for Finnegan's stomach issues he's been having, I think I'll be live tonight talking about that, just FYI. Let's see. Maxine is asking if Native Pet has an omega oil. Why, yes, they do. It's their newest branding, which is in a tin canister, which I really like because I prefer oils that are not in plastic. So I really like their omega oil because the only ingredients are, this is like a fish oil, wild caught pollock oil, wheat germ oil, wild caught salmon oil, biotin, and the mixed tocopherol, which is just a natural preservative. So if you are looking for healthy fats to add to the bowl, it's a great option. And it's really important to me, if I was to feed a kibble, to feed and add like healthy, what I call wet fats to the bowl. So either whole food sources like canned, no salt sardines, or omega oil, like that would be awesome. Yeah, Susie and Chimichanga, thank you for all the interaction. Robin, thank you so much. And Tara says we use a few Native Pet items, and I'm really happy with the brand. Make sure if you guys have any questions specifically. Oh, Latifa, are you still here? Are you guys still hearing any echoes, or is the audio a little bit better now? Oh, I thought I heard something, but I don't hear you, Dan.
What about now? Can you hear me now? Should we log?
That's fine. We'll just hang out. We hear you, Native Pet. Oh, interesting. Then I guess I wasn't hearing him. Can you, I'm assuming all good. It's good. Audio good.
Sorry about this. Are we?
They can hear, but why can't audio sounds good? Chimichanga, can you hear Native Pet? We can hear both of you as listeners. Audio is good. Well, I can't hear. What the heck is that about? Come on now. He's low. I hear Rachel fine. Can you turn your volume up, Dan, maybe? Maybe that's the problem.
Should I just, you want to grab my phone? I can just get it from my phone.
Yes, we can hear both of y'all. All right. Well, maybe my headphones? Hold on. Hold on, everybody. Please pause. Fix this audio.
Is that better? Is that better?
You should be able to hear us live on Instagram.
Patience. All right. Dan, can you hear me?
Kiara says, we hear you, Native Pet, on Instagram.
I can hear you, Dan, if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Okay, we're here. We're back. Gosh.
We're back. Sorry. I'm so bad at technology. That's 1,000% my fault.
No, I think it was my headphones or something, because they said they could hear both of us, and then I couldn't hear you. So anyways,
Shout out to production guy Alex here. He's our marketing manager. You
hey,
probably talked to him.
Alex.
Customer experience.
I
He's
love
like
it.
he's our customer experience manager. He does a killer job. And then whenever I need like audio visual support, he's a DJ by trade. And so I'm always like, dude, you got to help me out. And so he's in here like producing me.
I love it. I need a team. I need it because figuring all of this out on my own was really challenging. So it's good you have help. Okay. So we talked about, St. Louis or St. Louis. We talked about some of the products are produced there.
Yeah. So
That's
all
cool.
of our products are produced in the US. Some of them are like compiled here. Some of them are, manufactured elsewhere. St. Louis is a huge part of our story. Pat and I grew up here. We moved the business back to St. Louis. We love working in St. Louis. So about half of our team is here local. We are, all of our shipping is in St. Louis. We do some manufacturing here. And so, not a lot of businesses are getting started in St. Louis today. And so we love to be part of the revival.
Yeah, I think that's really incredible. I'm glad somebody brought that up because I did not know that. And fun fact, I adopted my what we think is a golden doodle Finnegan from St. Louis. So it's a special place in my heart. So, okay, so we kind of talked about this, but in your words, if you had to explain, because there's a lot of options on the market when it comes to supplements. I mean, a lot, and it is overwhelming for the pet parent. So if you had to kind of summarize in your own words, really how you differentiate, which you kind of have done, but if you had to do in one section, how do you really stand out from the mainstream supplement category or around the bowl category? If you're talking to a pet owner who's kind of like bombarded with all these ads and products and they just don't know where to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like the approachability point is the most important one to make. And I think we wanted to be the bridge from how you think about your food to how you think about your supplements and make the point that it's all one decision. Everything that your dog eats, that we eat, is a collection of nutrients that we're feeding to ourselves to live a happier, healthier life. And the distinction between food and supplements is an artificial one that the industry has created. Because your stomach doesn't know the difference of what's coming from kibble versus what's coming from supplements. And so we want to bridge that gap and help pet parents be able to make educated choices about how to customize their bowl. In doing so, like that differentiation can't just be a marketing message. It actually needed to be supported by a differentiated product.
Right.
And so the key for us was making products that were efficacious. So we didn't want pet parents to need to make a trade-off between efficacy and natural. And so all of our products are formulated by a board-certified vet nutritionist, a food scientist, and then any experts that we need to bring in on a product level. For example, on that pumpkin product, we had a food scientist and a vet nutritionist help us formulate this. On our probiotic, we had a leading researcher of the pet microbiome come in and help us formulate that one. So efficacy is first and foremost. I think from there, in order to like help bridge that gap, you didn't want to turn your ingredient deck over and see 20 ingredients that weren't actually relevant to the efficacy, right? And we call those inactive ingredients. And so we said, how do we make our products more clean label and use foods, ingredients people recognize? And that was the hardest part. So for all you pet parents out there, I'm sure you're familiar with the soft chew format, which is what most supplements get sold in today. That is a specific manufacturing process. Most brands, little dirty secret in the category, most brands are buying those products from the same set of co-manufacturers. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it's just, there's not a lot of differentiation between brands out there. They're selling very similar products. And the problem with soft chews is that they're starch-based, and it takes anywhere between 10 and 15 inactive ingredients to hold that little 3-gram soft chew together. And so we said, how can we make a cleaner version of that? And so our calming chew is in that air-dried chew format. And so we found a way to deliver the same amount of active ingredients, what makes the product efficacious, but deliver it in a much cleaner label format. And we used chicken today as the base of that product. And so it's essentially a jerky supplement. Mm-hmm. And we use the natural construct, the natural chemistry of chicken, and all that structure the proteins in the chicken gives you is what help holds the supplement together. So we can get just as many active ingredients or more in there, but we're able to cut out all the starches. And we don't like starches a whole lot at Native Pet. Starches, tend to cause inflammation in the body. They're not as natural. They're more highly processed. And so we felt like subbing animal proteins in place of the starch was a really powerful way, a clean label and ultimate efficacy. And then the fantastic end result is all of our products use whole food ingredients as the carrier, whether it's the bone broth in the probiotic or the chicken in the air dried chew. And so not only are we keeping it cleaner label with those whole food ingredients, but dogs love the taste because dogs
It's
are
made with
very
meat.
it's made with meat. It's made with natural
Real
ingredients
foods.
and real foods. Dogs love real foods. I'm sure you can have all experienced that when they're sitting by you at the dinner table. They love real food, and our
Yeah.
products do a better job delivering real food.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what stood out for me when I was learning about your brand was, again, your use of limited species or biologically appropriate ingredients, meaning ingredients that dogs were designed to digest. Because I'm telling you right now, take any of their products and go find the most popular selling alternative on Chewy or Amazon or PetSmart and compare the ingredients, like just side by side. And that alone is going to tell you why I've been such a big fan of them for so long. It's just a lot more natural. And quite honestly, I also love the brand and you and the team behind. I've been interacting with your team for quite a while. And to me, that's really important because good people produce good results in my experience. So I do appreciate that. I have a couple questions. Somebody was asking, and I'll give my thought and then you could share yours. How do they start incorporating Native Pet? For a pup who's maybe had some loose stool or stomach issues. And for me, with any new product, treat, food, supplement, I always go slow and gradual. 99% of dogs probably can just take it right away, just add it, no issues. If you want to be on the safest side, just adding a little bit at a time. They have the serving size listed on each product. So you'll know based on your dog's needs and weight how much they'll need to get. But if your dog has a sensitive stomach, doesn't do well with getting new foods, treats, supplements, to start really slow. But when I started feeding this stuff or adding the omega oil or pumpkin, I just gave the directed serving size and my dogs did fine.
Yeah, the serving sizes are dosed for efficacy, but it's part of that efficacy is like how our animal's going to react. And so for loose stool, like the pumpkin or the probiotic are like our two most popular. And what I'd say is this is just me. A lot of our customers treat things differently. There's different ways to use our products. When I think of pumpkin, I almost talk about it as like a can of Advil. And I use this,
I love that.
I have a lab, even though he's 9, he still eats the trash from time to time and gets into some stuff that he shouldn't because he loves to eat. And so I keep this like right there in case there's kind of an acute need where he has diarrhea or he's having trouble passing something. And pumpkin is like the all natural remedy. This is like my can of Advil for him. Whereas our probiotic product is a little bit more for like somebody who has like chronic digestive issues. And so if your dog is kind of consistently having digestive issues or skin issues or bad breath, it can be a sign of just more of a chronic imbalance of the microbiome. And so when things are a bit more chronic, I personally we use the probiotic as like a daily gut health supplement. And that has plenty of fiber, both soluble and insoluble in its blend. But then it also has 4 strains of probiotic. And so I'll also say all dogs react differently. And so that's where dosing gets very hard. And so if your dog is not getting a lot of fiber today and you give them a full scoop of pumpkin, it can be like a shock of fiber. And so what I would say is if your dog is not getting a lot of fiber and if you've tried a pumpkin product before or our pumpkin product and it caused some gas, that's totally natural. And I would just kind of maybe go half of a scoop first and kind of ramp up a little slower because fiber is really healthy for you. But if you haven't been getting a lot of it, it can be like a touch disruptive in the short term.
Yes, I could not agree more. I see that frequently, not with your brand, but generally where somebody who's fed let's say, an ultra processed kibble diet for the dog's entire life, and then they start adding real whole or fresh foods to the bowl. They're like, oh, Rachel, my dog doesn't tolerate it. They're getting loose stool. And I'm like, okay, well, imagine if you yourself ate fortified Cheerios your entire life, and then all of a sudden you started adding broccoli and avocado and maybe some fresh fish. You probably have a little bit of a stomach upset as well.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with supplements and products that are made with real whole ingredients, no synthetic vitamin packs, flavorings, dyes, things like that. These are potent, but in a natural, nutritional way. So it's okay, in my opinion. Like if my dog has a little bit of loose stool at first, just monitor if there's any health medical issues. Always work with your vet, of course. Always had to put that disclaimer. But otherwise, just going a little bit lower on the dose and then slowly working up works for every dog I've connected with. Monica says, I want to say, before the live, I ordered a soft chew probiotic from a different company for my puppy, and now I'm going to cancel and get it from Native Pet. So
Love
that's
to hear
awesome,
it.
Monica. Yeah, that's really cool.
Monica, what I'll say is the challenge with probiotics, and we include some probiotics in our chews, but probiotics are live bacteria and they're extremely temperamental, which means they don't do well in certain manufacturing environments. And so the problem with soft chews is that they're so highly processed. When you put live strains through that sort of manufacturing process, it's really difficult for them to survive. So that's why we kept that product in a powder, is because we wanted to process the live organisms, the probiotics, as minimally as possible. And so, I can't advocate for our probiotic enough, but I'd say anytime you're looking at a probiotic, thinking about what strains are in the product and are they really surviving the manufacturing process is a good lens to have as a consumer.
Yeah. Where was it? Oh, Vericol Frenchie says the pumpkin has done wonders for my Frenchie puppy's gas or flatulence. So that's
Love it.
awesome to
Yeah.
hear. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your omega oil. I have to say, like, when I first learned about your brand, and this is just full transparency because I'll always say it true, is I didn't love the use of plastic when it comes to omega oil. But when you moved over to this tin canned, which I believe helps keep it stable a lot better, longer, I was just ecstatic. And I love the quality of this product. And the design is also beautiful. So just want to again read off the ingredients of this, because again, if you go look at these really popular fish oils or healthy fat oils, you're going to see this laundry list of ingredients. And a lot of times they're things that I can barely even pronounce. Whereas this one's literally wild caught pollock, wheat germ oil, wild caught salmon, oil, biotin, and the natural preservative, which is the mixed tocopherol. So limited ingredient, intentional ingredients. Can you talk a little bit about your omega oil?
Yeah, it's a fantastic product. I use it every day. Wild caught fish oils, coming pretty much straight from the source. I think one unique thing about our business is we source almost all of our individual raw materials. And so a lot of brands in our category will let their co-manufacturers do the sourcing. That is just not how we roll. So Pat has literally fostered relationships with these suppliers over the years, and we're going direct to the source. And we do that so that we can verify quality. When you let your co-manufacturers source all of their ingredients, you have no visibility into what they're buying, who they're buying it from. That is just not how Pat and our team does things. So, we talk directly to the supplier. So we know exactly the exact spec, the exact formula, the exact ingredient that goes into every single one of our products. Omega oil specifically is a challenge because getting wild caught fish oil is not easy. And so
Or
we
cheap.
or cheap. And we have a blend of awesome pollock and salmon, which are like the two most popular fishes with great omega profiles.
Yep.
We use wheat germ to it's about omega 3, 6, and 9 to get like a little bit of a different source for omegas. And fish is great for omega 3s. So just kind of like getting some variation in where the omegas come from. And then biotin is a great ingredient for skin and coat. So super simple, but again, just like a naturally efficacious product. that you can feed your dog every day. And I think a lot of kibbles are deficient in omegas. And I think it's a great kind of daily topper and a daily supplement for really a dog of any age.
Yeah. One of the number one things I always recommend when people ask, what would I add to a bowl of kibble if I was feeding kibble every day? And I would always add some kind of wet source of healthy fats, and wet meaning an omega oil like this, or no salt canned sardines or something. And
True
dogs love
story.
it.
So
You know?
when
Yeah.
I started this, when we started this product, Pat and I were sourcing it, and I have a friend in Michigan who is, I would say, a naturalist, like really loves natural foods, loves the outdoors. And I was kind of explaining what we're doing, and he was like, "Oh, this is fish oil," and he read the ingredient deck, and then he just opened up and squirted a few pumps into his mouth. And I was like, "Dude, this is for dogs." And he was like, "Oh, this is better than the fish oil I buy for myself." And I was like, I wouldn't recommend that, by the way, for anybody.
Right.
There's probably other ways for humans to get omega-3s, but I think it shows how clean the fish oils are. Like, they're truly, some of the best that you can find in the space.
Yeah. And I know I'm kind of harping on this, but I cannot explain enough how important packaging like this is important, because it keeps the light out. So it can help avoid fats from going rancid, keeps the nutrients more bioavailable. So like if I'm just going to say, if you're feeding or giving a fish oil that's in a plastic bottle, switch to something like this or glass, in my opinion, just because I think that's just one of the more important ingredients to make sure that the packaging is really stable. All of your packaging is really incredible, which is really impressive because, again, coming from my experience working in the pet industry a while back, I know that that's not inexpensive. And I think that just goes to show that you guys are not looking to take the fast route, to try to just make a quick buck. Like, you're really in it because you probably love being an entrepreneur. I do as well. And I love that you speak about that, because a lot of people say, "Oh, Rachel, you're obsessed with dogs," which I am, but I love this creator side. I love learning about the business background, back end, and marketing. I think it's fun, and it's really interesting to me. So, and then we also need to talk about your yak chews, which I think anybody watching me, knows that I give these regularly. You are one of the, if not probably not the only, because there's so many brands, but one of the only that are responsibly sourced. You do not use any chemical processing, which makes these potentially dangerous in my experience and can happen. So that's why I'm really picky about the brands I use. And the ingredients you add and use in it are all natural. So I love your yak chews personally for a way to naturally scrape plaque and tartar off my dog's teeth as they
Oh,
chew
yeah.
it and massage their gums. Can you talk a little bit more about those products? The sourcing is pretty cool.
Yeah, yak chews are a fantastic product. It's a really natural, safe alternative to rawhide. And what I love about them is that they're, it's essentially a cheese that's had all the lactose dehydrated out of the chew, and so it's like a lactose-free dehydrated cheese chew. And so it fits in with our ethos of just like being naturally effective. And so that like natural protein structure of the cheese makes for a very tasty, long-lasting chew. The way dogs chew on it creates ridges in the product. So it looks flat and shiny when you get it, but as dogs gnaw on it, it does a great job kind of helping remove plaque and tartar from dogs' teeth. And that wasn't its like intention, for the product. And this over time, that's just something customers have noticed. And so it's become a great dental chew. And because it's a protein, it kind of like will dissolve in the digestive tract. And so you got to be careful about splintering and making sure your dog doesn't bite off a chunk of it. But it's a really, really safe, tasty, and effective alternative to rawhide.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I feel like a lot of brands, when talking to them, it's like, "Oh, my product is, the safest and nothing bad can happen." But any chew, whether it's a stick
Yeah.
or, you're feeding any other type of chew to your dog or toy, there are hazards, right? So sometimes people will say, "Oh, are these 100% safe?" Well, honestly, nothing is 100% safe, right? So the reason I like these, and you spoke to it, is that as my dogs chew on them, their saliva starts to break it down. So it starts to become soft as they chew. I usually use some type of holder so that when they get to the very end, what you can do is you can soak the very last end piece. I always discard that, right? Or use it. And sometimes what I'll do is soak it in some water, microwave it for like 30 seconds. It pops up and almost like a piece of popcorn, like puffed cheese. My dogs will crunch and enjoy that. But yeah, with any chew, always supervise, monitor, never give unsupervised any chew toy or anything really. Um,
Speaking
but
from
I think,
experience, my
yeah,
dog has eaten a bunch of stuff that he shouldn't have over the years, and I'm like
yeah,
extremely vigilant, you know. And he just recently had 4 tube socks for dinner, and we had to. Yeah, it was not
sorry to
fun.
hear
But
that. Yeah,
you know, dogs, especially things they like eating, can sometimes move too fast. Particularly puppies. We always say to like keep an eye on a puppy with this, particularly the first time they're trying the product. When
yeah,
it gets small, like the microwave is a great opportunity to turn it into a treat. As your dogs get more experience with them and older dogs, like it becomes less and less of an issue. But younger dogs, puppies, or the first time you're feeding them, definitely keep an eye on them. But over time, you can trust them to know how to handle it. And my dog will actually run into the backyard and bury it, and then finish it later. So our backyard is a graveyard of half chewed yak chews. He finds them eventually, and it's like a little bonus surprise over time.
yeah. I love that. And the other piece, now this is for my dogs, my personal experience, but um, if pieces fall off, I discard. But there have been a couple times, especially Finn, who sounds like your dog will just swallow and eat things. And the few times it happens, he passes it just fine. And my conclusion is that because it's made with real whole ingredients, it just digests it just fine. So I'm less worried with something like this. If my dog was to bite a piece of it and swallow, then especially like a rawhide or even other popular natural chews that have been like over processed, over treated. Again, I try to avoid it, but that's a possibility. Now, somebody is asking a question, Celia, about the use of lime because they're worried about toxicity. I I mean, I'll let you answer it, but it's not a concern for me personally because I know it's a small amount. It helps preserve it. And in small amounts, it's not an issue for dogs, even in different foods and things. But
Yeah, it's a really small percentage of the formula first, and it's also like added pre-drying. So some of it has chemical reactions with the ingredients to like preserve. It's a natural preservative. The reason why we use that is basically the acid from the lime mixed with the proteins in the milk. It helps it dry and keeps bacteria out while it dries, and so it's essentially a natural preservative. And so it's such a small dose, and it's added pre kind of drying cooking, and so there shouldn't be any toxicity concerns with the lime. It's just a really natural, efficacious way to make sure it stays fresh.
yeah. And people are asking, how often to give yak chews. I mean, I'll let you give your response. My personal response for my dogs, they get them usually like once a week, sometimes a little bit more. Sometimes I'll forget. It'll be like 2, 3 weeks. Is it something I would give daily? Maybe if your dog tolerates that well, but they're not calorie free. So with any treat or chew, if you're going to give something really regularly, you want to think about maybe a little bit more exercise or reducing food amount just a tiny bit because what we don't want in general is gaining weight. But for me, it's usually a weekly thing.
Yeah, we're the same way. We try to keep it for special occasions. I think technically speaking, you could give them every day, but like anything, it needs to be
Yeah,
used in moderation, and
yeah.
you need to be careful. And you need to look at what you feed your dog in total, everything that goes in around the bowl plus what's in the bowl, and make a personal decision as to what makes sense for your dog.
Awesome. Very cool. Okay. Now I have a question. It's a little spicy. And this one has come up quite a bit in my community. And I don't have personal reservations around it because I understand the background and because I've been connected intimately with your team for a while now. So I was able to reach out, get replies right away. But it's over a year now, maybe a year and a half at this point, where you received funding. And I'll let you speak to the details, but the funding indirectly was and is related to Mars. And people that follow me understand that while we're not anti all big conglomerates, there are potential concerns like, oh, is their quality going to be changed? And so when I first heard of this and saw this, I was like, ooh, that's a little worrisome. And while I love your brand, just like any brand, like if you guys were all of a sudden going to start making rawhides, I would, I probably wouldn't support you as much, right? So I reached out, got responses right away, and became instantly comfortable with that decision to do that, and actually really excited about it because of the opportunities it's going to bring to make whole, real food supplements and products more mainstream. So, can you talk a little bit about what that means? Should we be worried that Mars is going to try to degrade your products?
No, yeah. So I'm glad you brought this up. So we did raise some money to help, basically grow the business. And Mars, through an organization called the Companion Fund, invests in early stage businesses in the pet category. They take minority stakes, meaning they're a relatively small owner of Native Pet, and they have no kind of operational control. They're simply an investor and an advisor when we need them. So all they've done is help. They're a big company, and there's some pros and cons that come out of being a big company. One of the pros is that you have tons of resources, particularly as it relates to science and manufacturing. And so they've actually been a very good partner to us, strictly as an advisory basis. And so, Pat and I, are the owners of the business. We have total control over the business. And then we have a number of great capital partners. So that round of capital was led by a fund called Kavu Ventures, which has a ton of experience in the pet space. They actually helped us do the rebrand. And the whole goal of taking on money, and we had kind of have a choice. Like, the business was going well. We had a great community of people. We wanted to reach as many people as we can. And it's really hard to be a high growth business and then also have money in your bank account to be able to pay payroll. And so taking the money was simply about being able to elevate the business, get into more sales channels, spend more money on marketing, hire great people to our team. So you met Alex, Anya helped set all this up. She's amazing. She was one of our first employees. So that money just is helping us scale the business, reach more consumers, help more pets, add more team members. And so that money's just been like a great supercharge for what we're trying to do here at Native Pet. And we've been able to take in that money while maintaining full control of the business and just getting the best from our partners.
Yeah. And I think that's key, is that a lot of times when we see these headlines, by the way, all of this is public knowledge too. So this is something that's been out there and nothing new. And watching your growth and progression, because this isn't new either, has been pretty incredible, because not only has nothing changed, but things have only continued to get better and better, in my opinion. But I know it can be scary. So I appreciate how transparent and open you were with it. And again, we won't go into numbers, but again, coming from the pet food world, we're also not talking about ginormous funding. It's a big round, like, it's incredible what you guys did, but we're also not talking about like, $85 million changes. Like, it's a good funding round that allows you and Pat to stay in control. And I think that's what's important. This isn't like you're bought out by any means. And I think that's really important to differentiate, because I think that's, people see this headline and like, oh, another small brand bought out, but this is a completely different approach.
Completely different approach. It's a minority investment, and Mars was a very small percentage of the investment. So Kavu Ventures was the bigger investor, and they're the more active day-to-day partner. Shout out to our boy Jared. He's an awesome advocate for the pet industry, and he's been a great partner to Native Pet. Rachel, do you mind? There was a question on price. I'd love to address.
Please. Yeah.
So listen, we don't hide from it. We do have premium price points on all of our products. And what I'd say is, we know that they're expensive. We are doing things differently. We're operating outside of the normal manufacturing world within the pet space, and we're using whole food ingredients and only the highest quality actives. I'd love to be able to deliver to you at a lower price. And in fact, we're constantly trying to improve our costs so that we can do that. But things are expensive and quality is expensive and doing things differently are expensive. And so we really try to be as reasonable as possible we can when we're delivering such a high quality product. And so we try to stay as close to our competitors as possible and at least within a reasonable range. So what I want to say is we hear you. It's expensive doing things the way we've done, and we're trying to make them as affordable and as accessible to our consumers as possible. But what I can promise you and what, our pact with our consumers is that we're the highest quality product on the market and we're doing all the hard work so that you don't have to. And that's part of why there's like a bit of a premium on the price tag. So stay with us. We're working on it. We hear you. We have great deals through the website and everything that come through to try to make it more affordable. But quality is expensive, and our commitment to you is we're always going to deliver the best product possible.
Yeah. I'm glad you addressed that. Thank you. Again, this is what I look for those watching when I'm thinking about brands that I want to, we'll say, share that I like to use. I don't even like to use the word recommend. The one thing I look for is a company that's not afraid to answer and address questions head on that might be challenging or controversial, like the funding or the pricing. Because if I start getting these, we'll call it planned responses, I can't think of the word, and I start getting nervous that they don't really want to share anything. And then so I just appreciate that you're very open and honest about where you're coming from, what your goals and intentions are. And that makes me believe in the product even more than I did before. I don't know if that was possible, but I think that this has been, and Celia says quality counts long term. It's more often economic. I think that's the other thing. Yeah, that's definitely the truth. And I actually hear this price issue a lot when it comes to dog foods, when I talk about dog food. And one thing I just try to remind everybody is that exactly what you said, dog food, like we have been programmed, not even just dog food, like dog products, we have been programmed to believe and think that pet food should be cheap. And not that we want it to be expensive, but when we think about real food made with real ingredients, sourced responsibly, ethically, there's going to be more of a price to it. But oftentimes you either feed a little bit less or hopefully have less potential issues down the road. And that's kind of same thing with human food.
For sure. That's definitely our ethos as well.
Yeah. So with that said, I think we're at time. I think we answered quite a few questions. Are there any last things that if you were sitting down one-on-one or one-to-many, which I guess you are, with pet parents, and you really wish that they understood something that you wish they understood about you or the brand, what would that be?
No, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for all the customers out there for the support. Rachel, thank you. A company is only made up of like how many customers and who your customers are. So I want to say thank you to all of us for supporting our business. We believe in what we're doing, and you're really giving us a platform to continue to do the work to help make our pets happier and healthier. And so I want to thank all of you for joining. I want to thank all of you for being customers. And then, I'll give a shout out, a little plug. We're working, Alex, actually, who you met, is going to be working on an ambassador program that will have just some like more access to the Native Pet team, special access to deals, special access to some of this fun merch we got. And so if you are interested, be on the lookout for the ambassador program that's going to come. It's different than our influencer or our affiliate program. It's meant to just be a fun way to engage with Native Pet. And so be on the lookout for that. You can find out more info on our website. Cool. I'll be excited. I'm sure those watching will be excited as well. So thank you again for coming here. I know you're extremely busy, so it means a lot. Thank you for putting the time and the effort behind manufacturing, creating, and crafting what I consider a very quality product.